Howdy-ho, Andrew here. Welcome to the Onion Buns, and welcome to my Game 16 recap of Oilers versus Avalanche. So, right off the bat, oh my freaking God, was that ugly. That was ugly. That was ugly. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Are you getting the idea that the game was ugly? Because I'm here to tell you, the game was ugly. So anyway, let's start with the pre-show. Now remember, I write these pre-shows prior to seeing the game, so they don't always reflect what happens in the game. Big news is top line is McDavid, Leon, and Rosevich. At least to start. We'll see how long this lasts. Now, I got to jump in here. The team was not good today. None of the lines were good today. So wouldn't you know it, this is the one game where Knoblauch left all the lines intact. I don't get it. I really don't. Phillips is moved to the third line with Henrique and Fredericks. Even though they're the third line, this is technically our shutdown line. I would call it shutdown light. You know, it depends how Fredericks shows up, which Fredericks shows up. If he plays physical and aggressive, this could be a decent shutdown line. If he plays passive and perimeter, this is not a good shutdown line. So, fourth line is Howard, Savoy, and Tomasek. Three rookies make this worrisome if they get any real ice time. Ironically, they weren't the problem tonight. They weren't the solution, but they weren't the problem. Other lineup, interesting notes is Regula is back with Nurse and Wallman is with Kulak. Regula and Nurse were our best defensive pairing before Regula was injured. So long as Regula is healthy, it should be a good pairing. Wallman and Kulak are an interesting pairing if they get more ice time than our third pairing normally get. So yeah, it's, on paper it works. It didn't work, but on paper it works. So I can honestly see what Knoblauch was trying here, but they weren't a good pair together, which creates an interesting dilemma. You know, if Wallman is not trusted to play with Nurse, and he's not a good pairing for Kulak, and Knoblauch will not, no matter how bad they are, he will not split up Bouchard and Ekholm for any amount of time. It's like, where does Wallman fit in? So we'll have to watch that moving forward. So this will be interesting, is what I wrote. Skinner is in net, and we started the night off great. Boston just beat Toronto 5-3. Woo! So, yeah, like I said, the night started off fine. Period one. Nice redirect by Phillip right off the bat. Regular point shot. Wedgwood makes a save, but it was a beautiful play. Like, it's exactly what you want from Phillips. It's a regular saw him and put the puck right to him. It was a gorgeous chance. McDavid, Leon, and Ash cycling like mad in the offensive zone. For the first 5 to 7 minutes of this game, it really looked like the Oilers came to play. It really looked like McDavid and Ekholm and Leon, they were flying out there, and it looked good. McDavid draws a tripling penalty at 15:43. Oilers power play. It got noticed Wedgwood is going down really early and playing off of his knees. So the Oilers need to focus on top of the net shots, which of course you've heard me bitch about this. They didn't do, but that's what they needed to be doing. So, you know, like Wedgwood played pretty good tonight, but he was beatable. We just didn't want to beat him where he was beatable. Oiler penalty to Nurse, tripping, 13-17. McKinnon does a stick handling display. Like, it was just all over the place. It was insane. And Darnell gets caught reaching for the puck into McKinnon's skates. So, you know, it's one of those penalties that happens when you reach. You know, I personally, and you've heard me say this before, I would be more comfortable if Nurse would just play the body. But I really do believe he's been told not to play the body by the coaches the last couple of years. And it makes no sense to me, but that is my gut feeling. So yeah, he takes the penalty. Then Avs take a penalty at 11:21 tripping, 4-on-4 for 4 seconds. Then it's an Oilers power play. Holy crap! Leon wasn't kicked out of a face-off dot. The Avs player was. Mark that on your calendar, folks. I think that's the first time that's happened this year. Oilers take another penalty. Rosevich at 10:51 interference. 4-on-4 for minute 30. We're back to 5-on-5. Neither team had any real chances. Then it's an old Avs goal at 6:31. Makar zings the puck off the post and into the net. It was literally the perfect shot. So I know the haters are going to hate on Skinner. I don't blame them for that goal. That was the perfect shot. And it was hard. Like, you should have heard that post ding. It was a hard shot. And Bouchard and Ekholm just sort of stood there looking, like, I don't know what either of them were thinking on that play. They were just sort of like, oh, look, he's got the puck. I wonder what he's going to do with it. Oh, it looks like he's going to shoot. Oh, well, let's see what he does with it. Come on, guys. 1-0 Avs. Just for reference, Stopper was talking a lot about how lines 2, 3, 4 and defensive pairings 2 and 3 can't allow themselves to be victimized by Avs. But this first goal was against McDavid, Leon, Rosevich with Bouchard and Ekholm on the ice. So, yeah, it wasn't our 2, 3, and 4 and our 2 bottom pairings that got victimized. It was our top pairing and our top line. And for the record, McDavid was -3 for the night. Bouchard was -3 for the night. So this wasn't the only time they got victimized. Avs goal at 5:23. Makar, weak goal allowed by Skinner. It just basically goes through him. 2-0 for the Avs. Skinner tries to redeem himself by stopping a breakaway after Bouchard and Ekholm get beat. So he stopped the breakaway, but it was already 2-0, and he had let in a bad goal there. Then Avs score at 3:57. Skinner stopped first shot, but Langstoff power shot through Skinner, so it's 3-0 Avs. However, the Oilers challenge for offside. Challenge is successful, so it's no goal. It's now back to 2-1 for the Avs. Oilers take another penalty at 3:15. McDavid for high sticking. Beautiful work by Phillips on the PK. This game was ugly, but Phillips was our best player all game, bar none. Which sucks because he's a third, fourth line center. If you're relying on him to be our best player, we're in trouble. Another Oilers penalty at 1:51. Wallman for boarding. 2-man advantage for 36 seconds. Why the hell is Bouchard out there on a 5-on-3 when we're the 3? I've said I've given up trying to figure out Knobloch. So it didn't cost us, but Bouchard should never be on the ice for a penalty kill, much less a 5-on-3. But Knobloch keeps putting him out there, he's been our worst defenseman all season. Yet he's given every opportunity, every game, and other guys get benched. I'm just so frustrated with it. I really am. Nice save by Skinner. 5-on-3's over. End of the first. Shots on goal, 9-6 for the Avs. 2-0 for the Avs. So we only got 6 shots in the first period. And I think 5 of them came in the first 5 minutes of the period. That's how one-sided this game became. The McDavid, Leon, Rosevich line were not good outside of the opening 5 minutes. They really weren't. Oilers need to stop taking penalties. 2 of the 3 goals were not good goals allowed by Skinner. He's lucky the third was offside. So really, he's only to blame for 1 of the goals. Second period, amazing save by Skinner in first 30 seconds of the second. Then an Avs goal at 17:22. Skinner makes the save, but Avs player is standing in the slot. Who deposits the rebound? And you've heard me bitch about this, and we've seen this game after game after game. The Oiler defensemen will not clear out the slot. I don't know if they've been told not to clear out the slot or they're just not doing it, but it's burned us multiple games. And like I said, Skinner made the save. The Toxics are going to come out in force after this game, blaming Skinner and blaming Pickard. And they weren't great by any means, but they're not why we lost. Not by a long shot. 3-0 Avs. Kulak and Wallman didn't clear the slot, and once again it costed us. At some point, our defense need to get the message and clear the slot. Then another Avs goal at 15-15. Avs defenseman does a hard pass to the slot, where Avs player standing alone between Kulak and Ekholm redirects it for the goal. 4-1 for the Avs. So 2 goals were scored inside the slot, where our defense simply didn't clear them out. 1 goal was scored off of the perfect shot. And then 1 goal was absolutely on Skinner. And then 1 goal that was on Skinner didn't count. So I wrote, same as the last goal, defense cannot allow opponents to take position in the slot unopposed. Goalie change at 12:07, Pickard in for Skinner. It was weird. They didn't pull Skinner after the 4th goal. They let it play for a couple minutes and then they put Pickard in. So I don't know what Knobloch was doing. But anyway, Skinner wasn't super strong, but 3 of the 4 goals against that counted were not his fault. However, 2 goals, 1 didn't count, fully were on him. So he wasn't strong and he was part of the problem, but the problem was much deeper than just Stuart Skinner. Unless the team wakes up, goalie change will not matter. Only players that seem to have shown up thus far, Nurse, Regula, Majapani, Podkolzin, RNH, and Phillip. Oilers only have 8 shots halfway through the game. So they only got 2 shots in the first 10 minutes of the second period, and they only got 6 shots in the first period. You're not going to win games with shots like that. Another Avs goal at 10:26. Kelly outweights Pickard and scores. Nurse and Regula battle 3 Av players. 4th comes in. So like you got Nurse, you got Av, and Regula, they're battling, they're clearing the slot. But it's 2 of them against 3 Avs player, and then the 4th Av comes in, Kelly, grabs the puck, goes around Pickard and deposits it. Well, all 3 of our forwards, who I did not catch who they were standing up at the blue line. Again, we saw this last game. So, yeah, it's so Nurse and Regula did clear slot, and they just got outmanned with no support from their forwards. So now it's 5-0 for the Avs. Normally, this is when I would turn the TV off and do something productive, but I'll power through for the few viewers I have on my channel. This is an ugly game. Finally, a nice chance by Rosevich from McDavid. Avs penalty cross-checking at 8:37. Oilers power play. Oilers goal at 8:30, so it took all of 7 seconds to score from McDavid from Leon. McDavid held the zone, put it down to Leon or to McDavid in the slot, who picked the top corner. Gee, if only somebody had predicted that you needed to shoot high. 5-1 Avs. Oiler penalty at 8:15, high sticking Podkolzin. A few nice saves by Pickard. What the hell is Bouchard on the PK again for? So now he's been on the 5-on-3. Now he's on the PK. Another solid save by Pickard. Pickard has made 5 to 6 nice saves on this Avs power play. So it wasn't Bouchard and the rest of the team boxing out the Avs. It was Pickard putting on the goalie display during this penalty or this power play or penalty kill. Avs penalty at 5:30, tripping. Oilers power play. Avs goal at 5:22, shorthanded. Oilers give up a shorthanded breakaway, 6-1 Avs. Once again, opponent allowed to get behind Bouchard. We've seen this before numerous of times. I don't understand why Bouchard cannot pay attention to opponents, shorthanded opponents sneaking behind him. I don't get it. Oilers are just turning over the puck during this power play. It's just one giveaway after another after another. Nice backhand pass by Phillip to Majapani for a scoring chance. Majapani ringed it off the post, so gorgeous pass, gorgeous chance by Mange, but end of the second. Shots on goal, 2016. So we did end up with 10 shots in the second period, and 8 of them came in the last 10 minutes of the second period, but 6-1 Avs. Third period, Avs goal at 19:36, so it was like 24 seconds into the period, 7-1. That's all I wrote. Why bother explaining it? Avs penalty, interference, Oilers power play. The clock on Sportsnet wasn't working, so I can't tell you the time until clock came back at around the 10-minute mark left in the third. So Avs penalty for interference, Oilers power play. Avs get a goal just after the penalty ended. So the penalty ended. McKinnon came out of the box. Puck came right to him. He came down the wing and deposited top left corner. Wallman picks up an 8-1 Avs. Clock is finally back. Oiler penalty, Wallman tripping, 1947. Wallman picks up an unsportsmanlike. Avs power play for 4 minutes, double minor. He was mocking the referees for the call of the tripping, and they gave him an extra 2. Wallman did not have a good game. He did not have a smart game, and I wouldn't be half surprised if he's in the press box the next game and we see Emberson or Stetcher in his place as a wake-up call, because he was not good this game. And while I didn't think he was the worst defenseman in the Dallas game, he seems to be the one that Stauffer and them have pinpointed as the problem of the Dallas game. Now, I would disagree with that. I thought Bouchard was the problem of the Dallas game, but yeah. So anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the press box the next game. Avs goal, 5:32. So we actually did kill off the double minor, but Avs goal at 5:32, 9-1. Another slot goal. But hey, Bouchard managed to make himself as small as possible. Like literally, he went like this and turned into this to avoid being hit by the puck. This is a guy they're putting out there on penalty kills and 5-on-3s, and he's terrified of a puck. I don't get it. I don't understand it, and I don't like it. And that was the end of the third. 35-24 for the Avs, shots on goal. So we only got 4 shots in the third period. We lose 9-1. Thank God that game's over. Maybe the team can decide to show up and play next game versus Columbus. This was an ugly, ugly, ugly game. If you go back to before the preseason or the preseason, my videos, my biggest concern was this team had no physicality and was too soft to play against. And that fear was absolutely realized today. No grit, no heart, no soul. Not a single player wasn't a minus player tonight. Have you ever seen a game like that where every single player on the team was a minus player? And your stars like McDavid and Leon and Bouchard are -3 each. My 3 stars really was no stars, but for argument's sake, number 1, Noah Phillip, number 2, Regula, number 3, Nurse. But when your third and fourth line center is your best forward, you're not going to win. Nurse and Regula were our best defensive pairing, but they were average at best, which in this game gets you a star. Like that average was still light years ahead of what we got from Kulak and Wallman and Ekholm and Bouchard. The 3 slugs. There's too many players to individually, so I just went with rest of the forwards. Second slug goes to both goalies, and the third slug goes to all coaches. Listen, I'm an Oilers fan, and that's not going to change. But I don't like this team. Way too soft, trying to play shinny rather than hockey. No shutdown line, no physicality. Bouchard is made of tissue paper. This is exactly why I wanted Josh Brown to get a real look during the training camp. I tried to warn everyone that offense does not work in the NHL. And I tried to say squeaking out OT wins versus Chicago and other bottom tier teams that we would be in trouble when we started facing top tier teams. And that's exactly what happened tonight. It's time to send Thomasek and Howard down to the farm. It just is. Again, Howard will be much better served playing 20, 23 minutes on the farm and working on all the areas he's weak in than playing 6, 7 minutes a game on the fourth line. And Thomasek, I liked him for a while as a net front presence, but 5-on-5, he's mostly been invisible. So I think it's time to send him down so he can work on his game too and get some proper habits for when because you got to remember, he's coming over from Europe. He's not used to the NHL. In my opinion, I have said this for a long time, I think the top 2 leagues in the world are the NHL and the AHL, and then probably the KHL. And then after that, you get into the European leagues. And Tomasek is used to the European leagues. Now, there's a lot about Tomasek's game I like, but there's a lot of the North American game he needs to get accustomed to. So I think sending him would help him greatly in Bakersfield, just like Howard. I'd also, once Janmark and Hyman are back, obviously we can't send them down until Janmark and Hyman are ready to play, but they're supposed to be ready to play within the week. So, it's time to send Howard and Tomasek down once they're ready. I'd also put Fredericks and Bouchard in the press box, and I don't care if it crushes Bouchard's ego. I really don't anymore. Put them in the press box until they're both ready to play as expected and required. They both got signed to big contracts this year, long-term contracts, and they're both stinking out the joint nightly. So send them up to the press box and say, hey, you tell us when you're ready to finally play. Leon and McDavid need to center their own lines. This matching them up on the top line, it's not working. It hasn't been working this season. They're much more effective on their own lines. Like Leon with Rosevich and Podkolzin would have been a pretty decent line. McDavid and RNH have chemistry, but I still say the odd man out on that line is Mangiapane. So put Mangiapane back on the third line and give Noah Phillips a try on the wing until Hyman's ready to come back, because it wasn't working tonight and it hasn't been working. Like, those two together usually are gold, and they're still gold on the power play usually, but 5-on-5, they're not clicking this year. I don't know why that is, but they're not. And Bowman needs to pull Knobloch aside and read him the riot act. 16 games plus preseason is enough to figure out the lines. Like, there's no excuse that he didn't juggle the lines tonight, and he probably should have tonight of all nights, but there's no reason for him to be juggling. If he doesn't know what his top four lines are by now, he's never going to know. And we made a mistake of signing him. Simple as that. So I think Bowman needs to pull Knobloch aside and read him the riot act. In private, not in public. Don't shame him in public. But in private, have a come to Jesus moment with him. And the next game is Monday versus the Columbus Blue Jackets in Edmonton. And that's it for the recap. If you like this video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share does me wonders, and I do appreciate it. Takes 1 second to subscribe, costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just hit the subscribe button on the bottom of the screen. Always feel free to leave a comment. I encourage everybody to leave a comment. Not only does it get us interacting, but it really does help with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my videos. And as always, pew 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Oh, thank God that game is over. Bye.